When I heard that Governor Sununu of New Hampshire, I think, say suddenly that he is in support of Trump, after we heard him criticize that man for all the egregious affronts to our democracy Trump committed, and now suddenly Sununu says, well, 51% of the population is now for Trump, so therefore I am now too. I mean, what a whore are you? Are there none of you with enough backbone, with enough spine to stand up to this fraud and say, hey, enough is enough? Now you suddenly go along with it? I mean, I began to have some semblance of respect for you. None for you now. I can't believe it. How many of that old, proud Republican Party is folding under that fraud's pressure. It's stunning to me. How we are even listening to a Marjorie Taylor Greene, or whatever the bloody hell her name is a joke. I mean, where have we come to in this proud country, in this great country, to listen to these frauds? And they determine what's going on? That chick determines what Mike Johnson is going to vote for? She's holding up the financial aid to Ukraine? This is outrageous. Fellow Americans, we must come to our senses. This is just... If we lose Ukraine to Russian aggression, trust me, we'll pay a very, very heavy price for it. Simple as it is. When you allow someone who stormed our capital in order to reverse an election against him, that is so fundamentally un-American, I don't even know where to begin. And you all know it. You all know it. He's a sore loser. Where in the annals of American history and American sports have you ever respected a loser, a sore loser? Nowhere. Never in the annals of the history of this country. And all because of some talking bubbleheads at Fox News who know exactly they're wrong. We know that from emails between Tucker Baby and some other people on Fox News, that he loathed Trump, basically. But they all go along with it in the end because they're making money with it, a lot of money with it. We either have some leaders who have some backbone and some integrity, or this may go south. And then it's very difficult to come back from that. There were a few people who stood up to Hitler. He incarcerated them. Between 5 and 6 million non-Jewish Germans went to camps and were imprisoned because they objected to that Austrian private, that madman who was foaming at the mouth. Think hard. We have an election coming up. We must all vote. All of us. Let us vote for someone who believes in the strength, the basic strength and decency of American institutions, including its Constitution. We have a proud history in this country. We don't bow to one man or one king. That's how we started this country. We were against that. Now suddenly there's one character who's indicted over 81 times, is about to be convicted, maybe not, but eventually. I think the present case in New York is probably the weakest. There are other strong cases coming up. What is the debate? There shouldn't be any debate. It's not a difference of issues, differences of opinions about issues. It's simply about a personality cult. That guy never played sports, never fought, grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, is trying to turn the justice system every which way he can in order to screw people. That is the one we support. Anyway, on a happier note, I think everything is going to be cool. I think we will withstand this extraordinary assault on our system. I really do. Americans are basically decent people. Always have been. There have been some egregious mistakes here and there, but on the whole, we're a decent people, fair-minded people. When it comes to the Middle East, I've said it before, the only thing that will solve that problem is the stationing of a military contingent between Israel and Palestine, allowing both countries to exist and live in peace, guaranteed by the presence of military troops from Great Britain, Germany, Europe, all the countries that were somehow participants in the Holocaust. Not Great Britain. Great Britain for a different reason. Great Britain had the Balfour Declaration, which really was the first time that someone, a big power like Britain, gave credence to a Jewish state, namely Israel. The Balfour Declaration came about in 1917 because the Brits wanted a foothold in the Middle East. Just after the Ottoman Empire was defeated in 1918. So I'm all in support of Israel. Always have been, always will be. I was born in Germany, and Germans have a moral imperative to support Israel. But I also want a fair treatment of Palestinians. And that will only be guaranteed, I think, by a military presence separating the two, allowing both countries to live in peace, and to allow the Palestinians to develop and evolve democratic institutions, which cannot happen under these tense conditions. Can't. You cannot develop democratic institutions when you're prevailed upon. It's impossible. You need to feel secure. And I think an international contingent, European, American, and Arab troops stationed between Palestine and Israel will allow the development of a safe and economically viable Palestine. I don't think anything else will stop that conflict. As long as you have the suicidal notion that Hamas entertains of eliminating Israel, nothing is going to happen. Nothing. As long as you allow settlers to go into Palestinian territories and make their lives difficult, nothing will happen. You will simply increase the hostility on both sides and the irreconcilability. So let us come to our senses. Israel is a democracy. It will always be supported by other democracies. And Palestine, or Palestinians, have a right to their own sliver of that portion of the world. We must guarantee it. We must guarantee the peace for both. Anyway, my take tonight, unfortunately, one looks at the news here and there, and I get pissed off about some things. So beyond that, everything in Wainaha is going strong and full of interesting surprises. So be cool, everyone. I believe in the strength of this country. I believe in the basic decency of this country. We have a free Europe because of this country and the allies who were helped by the Canadians, by the Australians, by the New Zealanders, by the French, by the Brits, obviously, but mostly by America. That has guaranteed a certain amount of peace for the last 70, 80 years. Without America, that wouldn't have been the case. Great parts of Asia are free because of America. So let us remember the good things, the positive things that this country has done. I know there was Vietnam, I know there was Iraq, I know all that. But on the whole, we have done an enormous amount of good. An enormous amount of good. And we need to continue to lead the world. And is President Biden in a difficult position in regard to the conflict in the Middle East? Yes, of course he is. Those are difficult decisions to make. But we have to be and will be in support of Israel. But we will also be in support of Palestine. They have to be allowed to live in peace. It's a very difficult situation. No easy answer, except a separation enforced by international military contingent. For 40, 50 years if need be. All right? You know, it is sometimes very important to talk about these rather unpleasant issues. They are. But we need to talk about them. As long as we have democracies, we need to talk about them. Because at the end, that will help. We must defend the freedom of Ukraine. Don't fool yourselves. When one man leads a country, as Putin does, as Hitler did, as Stalin did, as any of those clowns did, they cause horrendous, horrendous suffering. Don't forget that. So let us by all means maintain democracy and let us disagree with each other. I'm sure a lot of people disagree with what I say now. I don't care. I've lived long enough. I've seen it all. So I'm going to open my mouth because I love this country and I love democracy.